Hey, everybody out there on YouTube. This is the Middle-Aged Guys. Let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. I'm the Reverend.
The theme here.
And Graymouse won.
We put out our spoiler review of Captain Marvel earlier. Unfortunately, Graymouse wasn't available to join in on the conversation, but he was able to go ahead and jump in a little bit later. So what we're going to do with this particular one, whether or not you see this after you see the review that the theme and I went ahead and put up or not, this is a pure spoiler discussion about Captain Marvel, okay? So right now, right up front, if you are not one of the people who went ahead and added to the $430 million fucking dollars.
$430.
Yeah, I know. That means that there was like 60 people who went to fucking see it over the weekend. No, the $430 million that it went ahead and it garnered worldwide, okay, for the opening weekend. If you weren't one of those who actually saw the movie over the weekend, then you can go someplace else if you're looking for a review that's not a non-spoiler. Like I said, check out Chris Stuckman, Jeremy Johns, or actually even better, check out E-Man's movie reviews. That motherfucker is probably the most underrated fucking movie reviewer out on the net, and he's just barely catching up and getting the number of subscribers that he deserves. All right, so yeah, there's a bunch of things that not including the conversation that we had on the car on the way home from the movie theater. All right. There was a whole bunch of details that every time we went ahead and we talked about this movie and we brought it up, it brought up different types of fucking reactions, all right? And I know I wasn't able to go ahead and touch them during our review video. But what are some of the things that you noticed, all right, that either put you off or maybe hit you some way that you didn't expect it to hit you as far as being funny, or maybe something that really stuck out to you like, wow, this is something that they could have fixed really easily if they did this instead, you know? Because I know there's a shitload of things like that. Graymouse and I were like fucking laundry listening this shit all of like Sunday before he went home to when he went on his drive back to San Diego. So, I mean,
what would you have rather him Captain Marvel bust into she busted into a blockbuster, but I see.
You know what would have been funnier is if she dropped through the roof of a Cybertron or a Nintendo World of Games.
Oh no. Or an EB?
Or an EB, Electronics
Boutique. I would accept Electronics Boutique.
Would it have been too much to where she fell through the roof of the Radio Shack that was right next door?
Well, they just had to make sure that they had the overweight mustachioed fucking security guard sitting there to point her in the right direction.
That threw me off a bit. I'm like, one security guard, and so
no, for a strip mall, that sounds about right.
All right, just man, to say nothing. Security of course, how are you going to react for someone falling through like that and then coming out and walking off and then asking you questions or whatever?
Yeah. I mean, that one was kind of odd. I think one of the things that was that really kind of got to me, like I said, was that the action scenes were like the hand-to-hand action scenes. There was a lot of close quarters combat where Captain Marvel is just sitting there going through and just beating up groups of fucking people, whether or not they be Kree or Skull or whatever, right? Which, guess what? Superhero. I'm fucking expecting that, right? Mm-hmm. But when you put the fucking cameras, like literally this motherfucking close to the action, all right? and it's shaking and shit, and it's not focused, and it's in a dark fucking
so it's
corridor.
Cloverfield action.
No, seriously. Theory was right next to me, and he heard me say out loud, I'm like, dude, my head is hurting right now. Because
No, we heard you too.
the opening action scene, after they do the whole ambush thing and everything and all of that, it literally goes on for like maybe 3 or 4 fucking minutes of that.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And I'm not exaggerating. I'm like, fuck, my head is hurting. Because it's super close up, and it's like a million fucking jump cuts, and it's shaky cam, and everything was dark and blurry. I was checking my head. I was like, I'm not wearing 3D glasses. I know we didn't.
I don't know how that group was even trained if they got separated so fucking easily.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that was one of the more egregious of details, though. Because I know if we think back on this, especially in some of the conversations we had over.
Wait, but
back home, there are much worse details.
But Veers was supposed to be the greenest of the group. She was the newest of the group. Yet she's the one that got separated. Wait a minute.
Well, didn't that happen in a game called Halo ODST?
Oh, no. They got blasted away when...
Yeah, but, I mean, they got separated.
Yeah, but there was a reason.
And the rookie was the greatest of the group. She just
walked off.
The plot of this movie was all over the place. It was incoherent. It tried to be funny in places where it didn't be funny. There's no emotion in the fighting. It just seemed. Of course, we all know it's choreographed, obviously, but it looked more choreographed than normal. It just looked like I was watching behind the scenes on some of the on some of the action scenes, and I was like, wait a minute, it
kind of felt forced on you.
Well, no, I mean the thing is that the problem with it is that like we said in the review video, literally the movie starts out, she's having a bad dream, she wakes up and she gets into a fight. All right, so
right.
after 2 words of conversation are exchanged within the fight scene, it literally zooms out where it's the back, where you could clearly tell that it's a stunt double doing the capoeira flip kicks and shit like that. Down this long, dimly lit walkway. Okay, before they zoom back the fuck in like this. Okay, to where they just barely have their faces in fucking frame. And they have their conversation again before they zoom back out where it's like it's obviously another fucking stunt double, okay? And
it's how do you start a movie in a dream sequence and talk about I can't sleep, let's go fight? Well, it's just like wait a minute, did I miss something here?
No, I'm not complaining about that because I've seen worse happen. All right,
No, they needed to do something to have the movie go.
They should have set it up a little better, is what I'm saying.
The thing is that basically the same fucking thing happened with Pacific Rim. All right, a lot of people hate Pacific Rim. I'm a shill for the kaiju movies, so of course it already had my soul before I was born. All right. And I'm one of the few people who sit there and actually defend it. All right. Now the second one, we've never talked about. That's another video altogether.
I haven't seen the second one. That's
I haven't. We'll get around to it. That's another video altogether. All right. But look, what the thing with like Captain Marvel, I think the greatest what's that sin that it commits, or the most egregious thing that it does is that it kind of takes for granted that it's set right in the middle of Infinity War and Endgame. All right, that it's going to sit there and fill in a few details to go ahead and carry over and hold over until we get to the big payoff. All right, and it's almost like it's banking on that particular fact that people are going to come to see it, and that they didn't feel like they needed to put another few minutes of thought or fucking planning or I mean, because the thing is that the movie runs like it literally runs like 110 minutes. All right, so it's less than a few than a full 2 hours. But I think all of us can agree in this particular video that at certain points, if they let things play out for like a few minutes, that it would have been better off altogether, especially with some of the parts where it was like, oh, you know, we're having the heartfelt speech from the best friend. Is this supposed to be a big, you know, cry emotional moment? Because up until that point, they literally spit in the wind like 45 seconds ago and said that they were friends. And that was pretty much fucking it.
All right. So
where was look, Graymouse just touched on it, and we touched on it during our review. Where was the fucking tone of the movie?
Well, hang on. Okay, let me go back a little bit. Rev and I were standing in his kitchen, and we were talking about this. Now, the setup for this movie, I think it would be better off. Basically, what I'm saying is, this movie is a phase 1 movie set in a phase 3, into phase 3.
Yeah.
And that's what me and Rev were talking about. We're like, if this movie was in phase 1, it would probably be a lot more, people would be a lot more open. Okay, so Marvel's still trying to get their footing. Disney's trying to get their footing. But this is the end of phase 3, beginning of phase 4, and you put something out like this at this level after freaking a decade of better movies?
You could have had this movie back then and not even have her set or mention.
And then nobody would have batted an eye. Nobody would have batted an eye. They would be like,
until people started disappearing from the snap, and then that symbol appears, and everybody like, oh shit,
right?
Everybody, but you see that, and it's like, okay, all right, and then you make the movie, and it's like, all right, okay. The expectations were already set way too high for a lot of people as far as the movie being great or carrying the mantle of how great these Marvel cinematic movies have been.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean,
let me be clear from this point onward. Okay, we're not criticizing the expectations in the movie. All right, because look, I'm going to say one of two things. Okay, one thing that may piss off fanboys, and one other thing that they may cheer for. Okay. One thing that may piss off fanboys is that if you expected this not to be the #1 movie and not to make Marvel money back, you're fucking stupid, okay? It made $340 fucking million worldwide in its opening weekend. Of course it was going to do that because it has 10 years of good fucking will.
Yeah.
And over 20 fucking movies of reputation built up to go ahead and build on, all right?
Exactly.
Okay? It was going to make money. On the flip side, though, guess what? If you think this movie is going to sit there and get a pass and not be a fucking of criticism, because there's 10 years of goodwill and 20 fucking movies of proven track record, some of which, even the worst of which, are watchable. No, that's not going to happen either.
No, I mean,
it was just, like you said, like we all said here, the movie was extremely bland. I mean, the story was bland, the movie was bland, the action was bland. And in my personal opinion, I'm not a professional, but in my personal opinion, the only thing that held that movie together was Mr. Motherfucker.
Was Samuel L. Was Nick?
I'm sorry. Oh, actually, no, I'm not sorry. I'm not going to fuck. No, I'm serious. That's the only thing that held this movie together was Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L's Nick Fury and Agent Coulson by just seeing him there.
Yeah, and the thing is that, reflecting upon it and trying to be as objective as possible, I'm not going to disagree with that. I'm really not.
Right. I mean, now the mediocre enemies, right? I mean, I wanted to know more about the Krill. I did. Okay, let's learn more about it. And it was just, it seems like an opportunity was missed. They could have been a lot more background for the Kree and you know, and I'm like, come on. You know, there's a lot of story there that could have been done, and it's just, it was a letdown for me, man. It really was.
The focus that they had on Captain Marvel, the focus that they had on her was, it was like, okay, who are you?
Right.
It was like, okay, she doesn't even know who she is. But when they tried to backtrack and piece all of that together, it was so incoherent and so emotionless.
No, well, the problem is this, okay? All right, look, with most of the movies where you have the amnesiac hero, all right, let me go ahead and let's rewind back to the first Bourne Identity, all right?
Okay. There we go.
Okay, their very first Bourne Identity. Jason Bourne has no idea who he's been, all right, and he's trying to figure out and piece together what the fuck his past has been, all right. The thing that works with that particular movie is that they spent the whole movie going ahead and fleshing out, oh, he's finding details along with the audience, and we're catching up, and we're seeing in real time
together.
Yeah,
together.
Not only that,
he was discovering as much as we were, and we were a part of the experience.
Yeah.
Part of the discovery.
Yeah.
The audience
made us feel emotionally involved.
Yeah, the audience was given the time and the opportunity to go ahead and be emotionally invested with every time a new tidbit was opened up. But then you have Captain Marvel, where you have basically flashbacks where all it is just guys sitting there putting her down for being a girl, and where the large bulk of the flashback of her sitting there and actually realizing who the fuck she is a cut series of her falling and getting up over and over.
That tone right there was so fucked up because it had nothing to do.
No, which it in itself is not bad. In fact, in itself, like you said, there's a Japanese saying, fall down 7 times, get up 8, right?
Well, of course. That goes for anybody.
You know, that in itself is not bad, but the problem is that they literally went ahead and they condensed the whole process and all of the emotional worth and the whole of the emotional payoff to literally 3.5 fucking minutes before she goes Super Saiyan.
And that's exactly what she did.
Squeezing in people's directions.
But my opinion is none of that had to do with her character as far as saying what the fuck has she been through from then and now, as far as us getting to know Captain Marvel herself.
I mean, the message that I got from that is that, I know I'm probably going to get slack for this, but is that white men were holding her down, pushing her down, knocking her down, beating her up, and then she got up 8 times. I mean, that's what I felt that whole sequence was. Men in general were holding her down, holding her back.
Even though that if you do notice back in the scenes, there's at least somebody there, whether or not it's an older brother or the dad, who sits there and says, hey, look, there are certain things out there that you can reach for, that you can go ahead and do. So there was a supporting male someplace in there. All right. And guess what? They only gave them they didn't even give him a minute. They only gave him 15 fucking seconds. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. But if the process, my whole point is that if the process was given enough time to actually be put in front of us as an audience and to breathe a little bit, even if it was predictable. All right. Look, the process in which things happened in Creed 2 was really fucking predictable, but people were given time to actually get invested in it. All right. That's the difference. All right.
Because the low point was relatable. Where was the absolute low point in Captain Marvel that we could all relate to?
Here's the thing. There were multiple points that you could sit there and latch onto, but you weren't given the time to, because guess what? It flashed back into real time.
The tone, that's what I'm saying.
Tied up, and you had all the blue aliens sitting there talking shit or saying, oh, she's fighting back. And that was it. And then you would sit there and go to some fucking cyber virtual reality space with Annette Bening looking like she was on fucking crack with her eyes all eye wide and fucking cocaine.
Yeah.
Sitting there saying, "Oh, I'm gonna break your white ass, your little lady ass,
Right.
all over the fucking virtual landscape." All right, you know it. I think.
I mean, it climaxed to a point to where she flew up, where Captain Marvel flew up to the ship and stood there and pretty much dared them to do something after destroying, a salvo of freaking nuclear missiles that were shot out.
Which generally speaking, I'll touch back to some subtext in that. But generally speaking, that's been done before in other superhero movies. But guess what? Those particular superhero movies at least gave them enough minutes for that moment to be truly earned.
Why were you going to destroy the planet with the object that you were looking for that was on it, the Tesseract?
Well,
because they knew the Tesseract would survive.
Yeah, Ronan didn't know that. And also the Tesseract was...
You can't destroy the Tesseract.
Right? Fuck, you know that. No.
But C-35 could be destroyed, though.
Oh, yeah. You know why? Because C-35 is a shithole.
The clergy survived.
No, the really pretty blue alien, she said that, so it's got to be true. So... And yes, I wanted to see more of Gemma Chan as that fucking as a fucking Kree alien sniper because she looked really hot on screen, and I wanted to see more of her. But you know what? She literally only makes that. That's the only pertinent point in the whole fucking movie that she makes. C-35 is a shithole. All right.
Okay. You know what though?
Wow.
Captain Marvel as a character is really deserved. And I'm talking about let's pull it back away from the movie. Captain Marvel as a character really deserved to have a good movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, just like she is the most powerful being in the Marvel Universe, or one of the most powerful beings. And for her to have a lackluster movie of her is just like whoa, wait a minute, Marvel, what are you doing? You had this track record of 10 years, and then you're going to hit a speed bump right before the climax,
right before the big one.
Right.
Wait, see, the Incredible Hulk and Thor: Dark World, they got that shit out of the way.
But no, I'm saying the character, whether Captain Marvel was a female or male, that does not matter to me.
Doesn't matter.
That character deserves. That character is the most powerful character in the Marvel universe, one of them. And you're going to give that character, a mediocre movie.
Even though I went into Ant-Man with zero expectation, I didn't think it was going to be that good. When Guardians of the Galaxy, I didn't think it was going to be amazingly that good.
I mean, like we were saying, some of the scenes were forced upon, like with her best friend and Captain Marvel sitting there talking at the kitchen table. I was like, because I leaned over to you, Theme, and I was like, am I supposed to cry here?
Yeah.
Because it's not happening. I'm sorry. I have no emotions built up to this character.
And I can explain why, because up until that point, the only thing that you knew about that character was less than 30 seconds of fucking flashbacks. Yeah. All right. And a 1 minute scene where she was asking, where are your heads at? Where's your head out? Oh, it's in the clouds. Mine's on my shoulders. Let's show these boys what we can do. Right. And the thing is that, guess what? It might make for a good soundbite in trailers or something like that.
Exactly.
When you're sitting there and you're watching a movie, all right, whether it be 90 minutes long or 3 hours long or whatnot, that does not give you a lot of time to go ahead and actually get attached to any of the characters involved.
No.
I mean, like I said, this particular movie, as far as the current Marvel movies that have been put out lately leading up to it, is rather short. It's only about 100 minutes long. Okay?
Right.
So it's run a full 2 hours.
But
They
it's funny how
They really would have benefited from another 15 minutes of settling down on one story point or another
Right.
instead of jump cutting across the fucking galaxy, all right, to the blue fucking aliens who were really, really pretty. Okay,
So
they could have.
Ant-Man
They
got
would
me emotionally involved. Scott Lang got me emotionally involved.
exactly. They could have spent just a few more minutes on Earth with fucking Carol Danvers, okay, whether or not it be her inside of her head or her having a dream or something, and just let that flesh out a little bit.
One of the things about it is that she had no real emotional attachments.
So wait, now let's go back a little bit.
Or whatever, but not family.
Let's go back a little bit. Was there a problem with this movie? As in before, did it get pushed up or back? I'm trying to remember.
No, Infinity
a year ago.
Endgame got pushed up.
Endgame got pushed up.
This movie was.
I guess what I'm trying to do is figure out, because let's be honest, this movie was hit. This movie was fast forwarded somewhere. It just looks like it's, like you said, it was one of the quickest movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It clocking in at barely 98 minutes, 90 minutes.
Well, hold on here. Okay, if we're gonna look at it that in that context, we got to understand at one time, the end of Phase 3 was going to include the Inhumans, and it was going to include Miss Captain Marvel. Okay, and they weren't even sure whether or not
Captain Marvel was going to be made.
No, they weren't even sure whether or not the Infinity War was going to wrap up before the end of Phase 3. Okay, so the where we're at, and this is no fault of the movie. Okay, just to be clear, where we're at, that they're reshuffling the deck, especially after the Fox acquisition.
Right.
The thing about Miss Captain Marvel is that they really had an opportunity to go ahead and get everybody invested in a cornerstone character. Because the thing is that when you think about Captain Marvel, especially when it comes to the earlier comic book
adaptations,
incarnations of Captain Marvel and everything, she is tied in with the X-Men. She's tied in with the Avengers. She's tied in with XYZ, fucking intergalactic characters and everything else. She possibly can be a linchpin character that, can sit there and not only can you build upon like you did with Iron Man for the first 3 phases, but you can go ahead and build upon for phase 4, 5, and 6.
Absolutely, I agree, and that's the reason why I brought that question.
But for some reason, they are insisting to go with the current version of Captain Marvel. All right, the do not ask me about your Zionist agenda, feminist Captain Marvel. All right, that. Unfortunately, at this point, with how many times her origin has been retconned and everything else,
right?
The thing that she can lead into, literally, all right, that's going to be a net positive worth to the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is that Rogue is going to show up, steal all of her powers, and she's going to go into a coma for a fucking decade.
Yeah.
All right, and when she does come back, it's going to lead into Kamala Khan, the current immigrant Muslim Captain Marvel, which is an immigrant Pakistani. So, I mean, that's the only thing that it's going to lead into. All right, and the thing is that there's a lot more that Captain Marvel, as far as if you were searching back into comic book history, that she could be intertwined with. All right, not only that, but with what they went ahead and they changed with this movie in order to make a political statement about refugees. Okay, they literally went ahead and they have made the possibility of the second Secret Wars storyline, which affected the whole of the fucking Marvel universe over the last decade, they completely killed the ability of that happening. All right. Unless they really want to sit there and say, no, there was a small pocket of Skrulls who were really, really fucking evil, all right? You know?
It's just, like I said, you know, it's very frustrating because this, without all the feminism agenda and all the other stuff that's involved, the character, it didn't need none of that. The character could stand on its own. Mm-hmm. And I would have been happy, whether it's male or female. And most fanboys, most real people that nerds, geeks, don't care about whether that character is a male or female. They just want to see this character up on the screen, kicking ass, taking names, and kicking some more ass, and moving on. That's all I care about.
And let me make a further point upon that, you know. When it comes to like the strong female character or the quote unquote feminist agenda, having a feminist movie out there, this could have been done better. Yeah, and I will say that with all confidence. You know why? Wonder Woman exists.
Wonder Woman.
It's a better fucking movie.
In almost every part of the same context. Her origin came after Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
And she was working against all the damage that Batman v Superman did to the fucking cinematic universe.
Pretty much. Absolutely. There's no excuse.
Yeah.
I mean, in all honesty. And what's so funny is like, oh, you know, Wonder Woman was directed by a female director as well.
I mean, literally, Wonder Woman at the very first half of the movie says the most degrading, emasculating thing about men, okay? And the fact that, oh yeah, you know, our history books teach about the pleasures between men and women. And from what we learned at the, objectively at the end is that men are not necessarily needed for those particular pleasures. They literally say the most feminist, hardcore fucking statement out of anything that's made, okay? Out of any of the movies that are out there, okay? Saying, hey, guess what? Look, Dick, you are replaceable with a fucking battery-operated toy, all right? They basically say that during the first half of the movie. But guess what? How the fuck does it end up being a better fucking movie overall that doesn't end up you fucking insulting everybody at the end of it?
Well, the thing is that it fits Wonder Woman, and it fits that world of Wonder Woman. I mean, for Christ's sake, she's with the Amazon. I'm just saying. So that part of the story, they didn't go out of their way to fucking say that all men are evil.
But Captain Marvel being on Kree, or Veers being on Kree, it wasn't full of women. It wasn't.
No. Even then, I think at the end was that, you know, the thing about it was that I guess the big difference was that at the end, Wonder Woman was a feminist movie that was done without stomping on everybody else. Seriously,
about blatantly doing that.
I mean,
even if you think about like the fact that the gas, the chemical weapons were stopped outside of her fighting areas and everything else by Cuban male characters that did something critical to what was going on at the time, World War I. You know, I mean, they really did not go out of their way to sit there and completely stomp out the male presence on this. On the flip side, you have male human, little to no threat.
It was so blatant. The agenda was so blatant. It was unreal.
Yeah,
they even mentioned jazz hands, for Christ's sake.
The musical soundtrack was just.
Oh yeah, it was horrible.
I mean, I like 90s music as much as anybody else, but look, you can sit there and you can check out multiple other other reviewers on YouTube, but you know, when they sit there and they say, "Hey, we all noticed the fact that during the last fight scene, they're playing 'I'm Just a Girl,' all right," and it wasn't explained like there's a fucking jukebox with fucking period piece music there on the ship, all right. It gets shot. The music still fucking plays, all right.
Yeah.
So guess what? It was there for a reason, all right. It wasn't like something that was just incidentally happened to start, you know, at the time or anything like that. You know, it was there for a fucking reason, all right. And look,
you know what the true crime was? The true crime was that they destroyed a Galaga machine, a Centipede machine. I'm just saying.
For gamers, I think the true crime with this particular one goes is that okay, there are two crimes that are happening. All right. There's the fraudulent premise that this movie cannot be criticized without you being labeled a misogynist. All right, that's the first thing. All right, that's fraud. That's fraudulent. That's a fucking lie. All right.
Yeah.
The other crime that's being happened is that, guess what? I hate to say this because I am a born and bred, you know, when it comes to between Marvel and DC and everything else, you know, as far as me knowing things within the comic books and everything else, I am more tied and more intimately familiar with the Marvel history and all of that. But if you're going to sit there and you're going to tell me that that this movie would be anywhere near as successful if it was not injected into the place that it is between Infinity War Part 1, all right, and Endgame Part 2, and that she just happened to be the person on the two-way pager that was showing up as a symbol. You know, if that wasn't the case, I am damn sure to sit there and make the case that this movie would not be anywhere near as successful as it is. And that's
trailer,
robbery.
The Shazam trailer in the same theater got us more emotionally involved and got more of a reaction from us than the whole movie of fucking Captain Marvel. I
mean, look, the way I could see it is that all they had to do was have her show up at the mid-credit scene like they did and move on to Endgame, and I would have been satisfied.
Again, this movie was really unnecessary.
Completely unnecessary.
But, you know, that's our thoughts, folks. You know what to do. Leave your comments, subscribe, and everything else if we happen to go ahead and make this into a video and post it up. All right? I'm the Reverend.
The Thing here.
And I'm Graymouse 1.